Pew pew, welcome legends back to the cockpit of the AH-64D Apache helicopter. In this video, part 3, we're going to be covering the weapon systems or engagement. I think I'll probably end up doing this in 3 videos. This one, part A, let's call it, 3A, is going to be on the guns. Oh, the gun. The M230 Bushmaster. Right, remembering of course, please, there's a video in the top right hand corner. That is the introduction to this helicopter series at Heli Shed, looking at DCS World. Please go and watch that if you haven't watched it already, because this is not a tutorial. I will link some tutorials down below that do a far better explanation of the weapon systems than I could possibly do, or to be perfectly frank, have time to do, or have the relevance to do, because this series is aimed at the radio control helicopter pilots and DCS pilots, sort of bringing them together in the middle. Now, guns. Oh, the gun. How do we activate it? How do we select it and so on? Very simple. We select weapon, we then select gun, we then determine on the left hand side here the packets of love that we want to send out. I want to send out a burst limit of 50 rounds. The top right hand corner, this second variable action button on the right hand side, determines the mode. Normal means that it will track to my head. We'll talk about that in a minute. Fixed means that there will be a fixed point along the longitudinal axis of the aircraft where the gun will fire to at a fixed range of 1500 meters. We want to select normal, and we want to change the manual selection of the calibration of the weapon system to 800 meters, because that's what I like. We also now need to select our route. We're going to go direct to waypoint 1, where we have got some wonderful vehicles out there with no threat to us whatsoever, so that we can play. Right, let's pop up our IADs. Let's pop up the control system there, so you can see what the hell is going on with flying this thing, and let's get going. A little bit of left rudder, a little bit of left cyclic, up she comes gently, gently, feel the aircraft lift, there it is, and up she pops. Beautiful. Now as we transition to forward flight, we will then see our waypoint information. There it is. Let's come back to that one. And all we need to do now, really, to activate the gun as the preferred weapon system is very simply take our master arm off, like that, and select guns. The gun is now tracking to my head. Now, as a standard loadout, the M230 Bushmaster will come with 1200 rounds, as you can see on the left MPD there, 1200 rounds, and as you can see on the head-up display at the bottom right-hand corner, 1200 rounds. But that is if you haven't got any additional fuel. If you have got additional fuel loaded, that will be reduced to 300 rounds. It will fire 600 rounds a minute, or 10 rounds every second. 30mm high explosive. The gun will track to my head, up 11 degrees, down 60 degrees, to the left 86 degrees, and to the right 86 degrees. And this of course means that the platform has huge flexibility when it comes to engaging targets to the flank. It also means that as the pilot, George, my trusty weapons officer in the front there, that I can use it to point out targets that perhaps I would want him to engage. Now, a couple of things before we engage these targets, and that is that, look, this is not a tutorial, as I've said, and I'm also using a tracking system called Toby IX, which tracks my head and my eyes. It's great for normal flight, but it's not very good for when it comes to, you know, pinpoint accuracy that perhaps you might need when it comes to using the gun on the Apache. So please don't be too hard about my inaccuracy of using the gun system that I'm currently doing. Now, a general rule of thumb is that in a helicopter, most certainly, and in a jet too, you never fly over a firing point or a contact point, or does that sound get any any better. I don't think it does. You never fly over you'd never do this basically. I'm only doing this to show you the flexibility of the gun system, and hopefully, I think you've got the general gist of the idea. Put the thing on the thing and press the button. We can see there that our rounds are reducing. We're now down to 1100 rounds. So 1200 rounds is fairly significant. You can cause a lot of damage with 1200 rounds. And that's all the targets done. So there we go, that's guns. Simple as that. And after only a very short period of time, we've caused a whole world of problems for those boys down there. That's all you need to know on the guns. It's a wonderful, wonderful system. And in the simulation world, particularly in the Apache, there is nothing like it. Simply nothing like it. It is modelled supremely and superbly. Now, of course, the word game is not in the lexicon of simmers, and it's not in my lexicon either. But this is a game when you compare it to the sheer professionalism and expertise real Apache pilots have, and having received support from them many times on operations, and then having a very small look at life in a simulation of how to fly an Apache, I can only respect them even more than I did previously, if at all that is possible. So I doff my hat and give a due salute to those men and women who fly Apaches for real. Right, that's it. I'm going to land. You don't need to see that. You've seen that before. Let's crack on with the next video. Rockets, rockets, rockets.